Go head-to-head in identical cars. It's round 5 of the world's richest showroom stock racing series, the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. Good afternoon. Welcome to Saint-Air Speedway just outside Granby, Quebec. Saint-Air is a racetrack well known to the wide world audience. For the past 2 years, Saint-Air has played host to the Molson Indy when the heroes of the Indy Kart Series do battle on the bank tri-oval. Saint-Air is equally famous for drag racing. Nearly 50,000 people were here this summer to watch the legendary Shirley Muldowney make her comeback on the Saint-Air drag strip. Speeds of over 250 miles per hour are not uncommon as these 3,000 horsepower monsters roar down the quarter-mile track. Saint-Air's bank tri-oval is about as far removed as you can get from the Mosport and Le Circuit road courses, where the first 4 Rothmans Porsche rounds have taken place. We're all set to go for race number 5 of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. My co-host Richard Spinard is starting from the number 2 position today. Richard, what will be your strategy here on the Saint-Air Oval?
Well, we must finish, first of all. You know, it's going to be 50 laps, and we expect to have a long race. It's going to be hard on tires. So I think we'll have to save the car a little bit, especially because it turns left all the way. There's no time for the tires to cool off, and hopefully that, you know, everyone in the lead will be able to finish the race without any problem. I expect a lot of competition from Scott and Keys and, you know, Scott Maxwell and so forth. I expect maybe a few yellow flags. That should be a very interesting race. There's no question about it.
All right, Richard, let's take a look at the other contenders.
It's quite different from what I thought it was going to be. You know, in the past, you think like an oval, it's easy. I mean, it's left-hand turn all the time, as opposed to a road racing course. And I think this weekend I'm really learning to respect the oval with their big concrete wall all the way along the outside. It's a totally different story. So it's I think every lap I do is a lap that I learn something.
One of the favorites will be Claude Gu in car number 46 of En Route Autohammer team.
I've raced stock cars, and I've even raced here last year in a Datsun, so I think I have a little bit of an edge. On the other end, you look at all the professional drivers in this series, and they also have stock car experience. They've raced on ovals, so it's going to be very, very hard to be at the front.
It's a lot different. Corners come up pretty quick. I think testing really pays off on a track like this. The car, I think, is a lot more important than a driver on this track compared to a road racing circuit.
Scott Goodyear, the winner of the last 2 races in this series, will start from the pole. Charles Bernard will be beside him in the number 2 position. As the cars go out in their pace lap, we'll take a short break and then return with the start of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. Back at Saint-Air, Quebec, pace car is off. Drivers are looking for the green flag. White car is number 9, Scott Goodyear, starting on the pole. Richard Bernard in the black car in the front row. Series leader Case Nierop starts in the 3rd spot. Turn 1, Nierop in the red car is making a move to the inside. The field comes safely through a very crowded first turn.
There's a spin. It's car number 18, Peter Dreyfus from Montreal. That wasn't his fault. He was pushed from behind, but he did what you're supposed to do on an oval, spin to the infield away from the concrete wall.
At the end of lap 1, Scott Goodyear leads. Case Nierop is 2nd. Hugh Richard are 3rd, just a half length back. Bill Adam is 4th.
On the front straight, I got beside Case, and here, going to turn 1, I have the inside line, so around I go.
And into 2nd place, but Case Nierop isn't giving up. Whoops! So I think that's Scott Maxwell out in the marbles out there, but unfortunately there was no contact. Richard, in these early laps, you must be getting a sense of deja vu. The last 2 races have started exactly this way, with you and Nierop hammering away at each other. Well, Scott Goodyear just gets small in the distance.
Well, it's a bit true, Joe. We have to expect to see Scott Goodyear is always in front or very close to the front, so we're not very surprised that we have to follow him often. Mind you that I'm very comfortable on that track, and my point at this stage of the race is mainly to follow Scott, put pressure on him, and see where he's having problems, where he's probably slower or faster, and I can adjust my driving according to that. So I'm going to just put pressure and stay behind for a few laps and see what happens.
Can you detect any problems that Goodyear is having at this point?
Well, no major problem, of course, because Scott is very good even on that track, but I feel very, very easy to follow him, and actually I catch up to him quite quickly, so I feel very comfortable where I am right now.
As you chase Scott Goodyear for the lead, there's another terrific fight going on for 3rd between Case Nierop and Bill Adam. That's Nierop in the red and white car, Adam in the black number 3. Bill Adam is able to hold the lower line than Nerop, but he pulls alongside in turn 2. Nerop cannot respond, and Bill Adam has moved into third spot. The order after 4 laps: Scott Goodyear, Richard Spinard, Bill Adam, and Case Nerop. It's going to be a long day for Case. Filling his mirrors now are 2 more cars: Chris Gleason and Claude Gou.
There's something quite interesting about oval racing. You'll find out that you're going to see a lot of cars racing each other. While in theory, on the racetrack, on the road course I should say, you race a lot against the track. You don't race necessarily the cars in front. So here you're going to see different rules, different lines, people inside, people outside, and it's good racing.
You close that gap on Scott Goodyear.
Yeah, I'm looking for a pace to pass at this point of the race.
Tell me about the handling, Richard. What kind of adjustments have you made on the handling?
Well, basically what you're trying to do on an oval racing, since you're turning left all the time, you try to create less weight transfer to the right. So basically what we do, we raise the right side of the car to get better traction in the corners.
Some people went a little bit far with the suspension this weekend.
Well, yes, we heard that some people got into trouble. Basically, they tried to modify their car, and we know that you're not allowed to modify your car. You're allowed to change your car according to the adjustment which is on the car from the manufacturer, but you're not allowed to build up or to modify any parts.
Are there any other differences? Are there differences in tires, or?
Not really. Here's this Bill Adam running third.
Bill Adam is still doing well. Earlier, I went for a ride with Bill to find out what the difference was between the oval here at Saint-Air and a road racing course such as Beausport or Le Circuit.
Well, the biggest difference is that you've only really got 3 corners to contend with. We're going down the back straight right now, and you're looking at what actually makes this into a tri-oval. It's a flat-out piece of section of track for us. We don't lift off here at all, running pretty high up in 4th gear, cutting it inside here, and the car just slides back out to the wall. And you run strictly 4th gear all the way around the track. There is no shifting at all. A little bit of braking, mostly just trying to be as smooth as you possibly can. Carry speed into corners and exit the corners with a lot of speed too.
There's a lot more congestion on a short oval. Is the danger factor a little higher?
No, I don't really think it's too dangerous because we've got walls to stop us going too far. And although you may suffer a fair bit of body damage doing something like this, it's not really dangerous to the drivers as such.
Bill's right. These walls aren't really dangerous unless you hit them head on. But for a road racer, especially one like me, who has been known to use all of the road and more, the walls comes very close. It takes a lot of confidence to run on the fast line up, really close to the wall.
Sure looks like Scott Goodyear is running close, just centimeters from the wall at over 160 kilometers. You call it close, I call it terrifying.
Up ahead, I can see some traffic. Very shortly, Scott and I should begin lapping some slower cars.
Richard, is that when the fun begins, when the lapping starts?
Well, it's certainly part of the game, but honestly, running for the championship or running for the lead in the race, the only thing that you think about is to win the race. So it's only part of the job to pass some other people. Sometimes you can take advantage of that traffic to move up. As you saw there, I passed, and I actually passed Scott Goodyear at the same time.
Beautiful driving, Richard. My co-host has taken the lead on lap 10 of this 50-lapper. But look out, Scott Goodyear strikes back on the inside of turn 1, side by side in turn 2. It's Goodyear. Scott Goodyear and Richard Spinard swapping the lead twice in 1 lap. Richard's not finished. He tries the high side. Goodyear drifts up the block, and Richard dives down low into turn 3. Scott shuts the door. What a battle.
That was a very interesting lap. It was a lot of fun, actually, to fight with Scott like this and going through some slower traffic. It was terrific racing. For the next few laps, we'll be running in heavy traffic as we lap slower cars. In this situation, sometimes the second car has a disadvantage because the back marker will only see the leader and move over for him. I want to get back up front now, and it's very important I do it very soon.
On this corner, perhaps?
Well, again, it's make it safe because you don't want to do a mistake. You want to make sure it's a calculated pass, and you don't want to just risk something.
As expected, race number 5 of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge is turning out to be a tremendous race. We'll be right back. Welcome back to race number 5 of the Rothmans Rothmans Porsche Challenge, and we've got a tremendous seesaw battle going on for first place.
Here at Sun-Air, you see me following the white car, car number 9. I'm in car 42, the black car, following the leader, Scott Goodyear. I will attempt a pass very shortly, try to take the lead of that race. Actually, I'm taking advantage of the traffic here, and I take the inside of corner 1.
Coming into this race, Richard, you are in second place in the championship, 6 points behind Case Nierop. Now, Nierop is currently running back in 4th position in this race. If the finishing order would stay like this, you could jump back into the championship lead with just 2 races to go. Now, is that on your mind as you drive around the oval?
Well, definitely, Joe, you think about it a little bit. But the most I can possibly do is win the race. If Case would help me by finishing well back, I would be delighted. But there's nothing I can do to affect that. So, it's up to him.
For those at home who may have missed the first 4 races on CTV, let's do a quick recap of the Rothmans Porsche season so far. The season began at Mosport with an absolute barn burner of a race. It was a furious 3-car dice from beginning to end. Here, Nierop and Spadard go through the S's, touching each other. Racing just doesn't get any closer than that. Look at that as they almost touch bumpers. Later in that same race, last lap in an incident that may yet cost him the championship, Case Nierop drifts wide at the exit of Moss Corner. That momentary slip, which he caught immediately, was enough for Richard to pounce, pulling alongside as they headed up the straightaway. Moments later, we were treated to this view from Bill Adams' car in 3rd spot. Just ahead, Nierop on the left and Spanard on the right. Touching mirrors as they roared shoulder to shoulder up the back straight. Who would break first? At corner 8, it was Nierop braking, and Richard Spanard going on to take the checkered flag in the initial lead in the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. 1 week later, again in Mosport, and there was an incident on the first lap between Richard and Paul Tracy.
We both got off the line together, and we're side by side all the way down through 1, and neither one of us were going to give up the inside line for the next corner.
From Bill Adams' car, we see the controversial bumping incident between Tracy and Spanard. Another moment where Richard's championship hopes were in jeopardy.
I don't want to be intimidated by the more experienced drivers, and I don't want them to think that they can intimidate me.
Later on that same action-filled opening lap, 17-year-old Paul Tracy put his Porsche into the guardrail under braking. Tracy, who is considered an up-and-comer, hasn't really been a contender since that incident. Race 2 turned into a dice for victory between these 2 drivers, Case Nierop and Scott Maxwell. With his lovely bit of driving, Nierop outbraked Maxwell going into turn 3. Nierop won and took the lead in the championship by a narrow margin over 3rd-place finisher Richard Spanard.
I must admit, I had to think a little bit about keeping it together and, don't make a mistake now because everybody would be after me. You can't race without sleep. And last week I had to prove a point. I think this week I proved a point again. You can go racing without sleep.
It's a long series, and it's only the 2nd event. So 3rd is better than nothing, but of course I'd like to win everyone. Well, you win some and you lose some. It's nothing to lose behind Keys and Scott. They're both very good drivers. So we'll see the next race.
With the 2nd-place finish at Mosport, Scott Maxwell had served notice that he was going to be a contender. Watch his outrageous start from the 3rd row at Le Circuit in race 3. Dropping back, anticipating the green flag, he charged up on the outside, drove around the 2nd row, and was actually challenging for the lead going into turn 1. Race 3 was full of incidents for the 2 main challengers, Nierop and Spanard. This was a view from inside Case Nierop's 3rd-place car at mid-race. Just ahead, Richard Spanard in the black Porsche, closely following race leader Scott Goodyear. Exiting the S's, Richard ran wide right off the road and then back on again, giving up 2nd place and the advantage of the all-important championship to Case Nierop. Same race several laps later, and what will probably be remembered as the most controversial pass of the whole season. Nierop is 2nd with Richard's car right behind. The S's, a limit of adhesion, and they touch. Case turns right, Richard turns left, and regains 2nd place. Here's what a witness saw.
It appeared that Richard actually got a very good run at passing Case and got his car almost alongside when Case tried to bring his car back over into line. Sometimes drivers can do this to try and intimidate you, or maybe just even not being aware of another car there, but because of the 2 cars trying to occupy the same piece of road, there was contact, and Case lost that particular bout. I don't think in any way it was a deliberate move on Richard's part, and nor was it deliberate on Case's. It was just one of those incidents that happens on the track.
You can't have a great race without a dramatic finish, and race 3 at Le Circuit fit the bill nicely. Scott Maxwell makes a last lap all-or-nothing charge for Case Neroff in third place. Locking the wheels under braking, he slid off the track and was unable to finish. That one incident eliminated the very talented Scott Maxwell from championship contention. Meanwhile, Scott Goodyear took the checkered flag to become the third winner in as many races. Neroff and Spinard left Le Circuit dead even in points. Both had scored 1 first, 1 second, and 1 third. The series moved back to Mosport last week for round 4. Despite qualifying on the pole, this was not to be Richard's race. In a repeat of his performance a week earlier, Scott Goodyear jumped into the lead going into the first turn and never looked back. The excitement in both the race and the championship was all happening behind the leader. Lap 5, cresting the hill on the back straight, Case Neroff pulls onto the slipstream and steams by Richard Spinard to take over second position. Richard could stay right with Neroff, but was never able to repass. On lap 10, another decisive moment in the championship. Having tried unsuccessfully to pass on the outside, Scott Maxwell does another one of his patented drives up the shoulder. This time at over 160 kilometers an hour and into second place. Richard is thereby bumped into fourth, and the championship pendulum swings back to Neroff, who leads by 6 points. Scott Goodyear enjoyed another trouble-free drive and posted his second flag-to-flag win in a row.
I was very pleased to see everybody fighting with everybody. I just kept on saying, come on, guys, go at each other. I love it. Keep on doing it. And I kept looking in the mirror, and I made 2 small mistakes down on Moss's and got the back end a little bit sideways. But other than that, it was smooth, and I was just watching them fight it, so it worked out well.
Going down the back straightaway, when I'm close enough to Richard, I could outdraft him and just get enough on him. And obviously, Scott did the same thing. Maxwell did the same thing. And I think Richard must have been down on power a little bit, because I'm sure he would have tried to outdraft Scott at one point or another.
For some reason, I was, again, an handicap on the straight line. Every pass me on the straight, I can pass them. It's frustrating sometimes, but I did my best, and that's all I could get. That 4th position today put me in 2nd position. Not very far anyway. There's a few races to go, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll get it.
That was the story of the season so far, Richard. Back here at San Air, you're leading comfortably, and you must feel that pendulum swinging back your way.
We've completed 34 laps, and I've got a few seconds over Scott Goodyear, so that's good. Even better for me is that Case Neroff, my main rival for the championship, has dropped to 5th place.
That car you see smoking there is number 20, driven by your old pal Paul Tracy. What do you suppose the problem is?
Well, it's certainly a major problem because he's coming into the pit, so probably his engine just failed. But mind you that even the car is being raced, that Porsche recognized a warranty on these engines. Here's the official top 5 after 35 laps. It's me, Scott Goodyear, Bill Adam, the American Chris Gleason, and then my main rival, Case Neroff.
15 laps to go, and Richard Spinard continues to widen his lead. Scott Goodyear is the only driver with a chance to catch Spinard. We'll find out if he can when we come back. Welcome back to San Air Speedway in Quebec. I'm Joe Tilley with Richard Spinard. Richard, with 8 laps to go, Case Neroff has moved ahead of Chris Gleason to stand fourth.
Case is a great driver. He's certainly keeping the championship exciting. I don't think he'll move up any higher. This man, Bill Adam, is running comfortably in 3rd place with a safe margin over Case.
Bill Adam in the Performance Cars Porsche from St. Catharines, Ontario, is about to put Scott Maxwell a lap down. We're used to seeing Maxwell up front, and yet here he is running 13th.
Here's a driver who's not running at all, Paul Tracy.
I looked in the rearview mirror, there was a bit of smoke coming out, and then about a lap later, the whole inside of the car filled up with smoke, and I couldn't see where I was going.
Any idea why it might happen?
No, I don't have a clue yet.
As we watch you reel off these closing laps, Richard, we can hear your tires squealing. Before the race, you were worried about how the Pirelli street tires would hold up under the constant G-force, and yet I notice you're lapping faster than ever.
Well, actually, Joe, it's a very good surprise to us because the car hasn't changed since the beginning of the race, and I'm very, very confident at that point. The car is handling very well, didn't change, and it's very neutral still, so the car is not working too hard either on the front, either on the rear, so I can keep some good consistency and fast lap.
What kind of testing did you do here at Saint-Air?
Actually, the only testing I did was with a Formula 2000, which is very different. But I have good help from Alec Purdy, and he set up the car very nicely this weekend, and the car is handling just like a dream.
Richard, you're leading by 9 seconds at this point. What's the difference between this week and last week at Mosport? Why are you leading this week?
Well, I think mainly is the lack of straight line here. In Mosport, I'm handicapped on the back straight, and I'm working really hard through the corners to match up or to catch up. But here, there's 3 corners, and in between the 3 corners, there's no straight line, so probably I have an advantage.
Number 9, Scott Goodyear led for 42 consecutive laps in this series before you passed him on lap number 9, Richard.
That's right. Scott has been doing a very nice job. Mind you that he didn't do the first race, and he finished 9th on the second race, so he's not really a contender in the championship.
Goodyear has already captured another championship, the U.S. Formula Atlantic Series. His car is entered by Pfaff Motors and Magnet International.
Here's another very good driver, Bill Adam. Bill Adam is running third, 6 seconds behind Scott Goodyear and 14 ahead of Naira. Bill Adam lives in Hamilton and Miami. He's a professional racer, and he's raced for Jaguar team number 44 in the IMSA series, and he's been very successful at it. The Jaguar team in the IMSA series is probably one of the most professional team in the States.
2 laps to go, Richard. Turn left 6 times, and you'll have won your 2nd race of the season. Watch out! Scott Maxwell has lost it in turn 3, nearly taking both you and Kogu out of the race.
That was a very close incident here, especially on the last lap like this. I certainly didn't want to get in trouble, so I had to slow down, lose a lot of speed to avoid and make sure I could avoid them, basically.
Maxwell's spin brings out the yellow flag, and this race, with just 1 lap to go, will finish under the yellow. Once more, around turn 2, Richard is being very careful at this point. Not much traffic. Around turn 3, might be oil on the track, but he knows he has this race wrapped up. Checkered flag. Richard Spinard takes a downtown Fine Cars Porsche to its 2nd victory in the Rothmans Porsche Challenge, and what a victory! After swapping back and forth with Scott Goodyear, you moved to the front and stayed there from the 13th lap. Congratulations. The official results: fastest lap of the race to Keith Nierop, Chris Gleason 5th, his best so far. 6th was Bernie Newman. Camp champion Claude Bourbonnais, Claude Gou, and Rick By round out the top 10. You had a tremendous battle going there with Scott Goodyear in the early going. How were you able to open up some room between you and Goodyear?
Well, quite simple. I was just quite faster. I wanted to be behind Scott to study if he was faster than me or slower. There was no point to be leading the first lap. And once we got involved, we're getting close to getting involved in traffic, and I could see now I was going faster than him. I said, well, might as well get rid of him now and get through traffic alone and pull away. And sure, actually, the plan worked perfect, you know.
Did you find it congested out there?
Very, I mean, but people were very nice. They look in the mirrors, they're pointing by. I didn't have any trouble, nobody blocking really. Actually, it went very well.
Very well indeed. Not only did Richard pick up the first place prize money, but he's moved ahead again in his seesaw battle with Case Nierop at the top of the championship standings. Mathematically, 7 drivers still have a shot with just 2 races to go, but realistically, it looks like we're going to have a showdown between Richard Spinard and Case Nierop. The Rothmans Porsche Challenge will return to CTV's Wide World of Sports in 2 weeks on December 20th with round 6 for Mosport. For Richard Spinard, I'm Joe Tilley. See you then. Just 2 races to go, and the championship lead continues to seesaw back and forth. At stake is the winner's share of the $275,000 prize fund. It's the world's richest showroom stock racing series, the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe Tilley. The Rothmans Porsche Challenge returns to Mosport today for round 6 of the 7-race series. Joining me and Richard Spinard for the last 2 races will be Rob Tanner. Rob has been involved in motorsport for over 20 years.
There's Richard Spinard from Shannonville, Ontario. He's leading the series by 4 points over this man, Kelowna's Case Nierop. Richard has scored 2 victories to Case's 1, but Nierop has been right up there at every race.
Although only 3rd in the point standings, the hottest driver is double winner Scott Goodyear.
No matter if the championship is decided or not, it's certainly a case of getting out in front and winning, like in every event that you are entered into. So
if I can get away, I'll do it. We'll just wait and see what happens.
As we didn't have enough competition in this series, Ludwig Emrad Jr. has joined us. Ludwig usually drives Super V, IMSA, or Indy cars.
I just want to see what it's all about. Everybody tells me how much of a blast it is, and I got to say, yesterday I really had a heck of a time. It was a lot of fun driving around with one of those cars. It's sort of reminds you what it's like to get back into what a race car used to be like, and you know, it just makes you work real hard.
Starting at the back of the grid will be the Toronto Sun's Dan Proudfoot. Dan has been given Paul Tracy's car for this race.
Out of the way of all the Spinards and all those guys. They'll be going really fast.
Spinard and Neroff, the two drivers in contention for the championship, will start this race side by side from the front row. We'll be back with the green flag right after this. Back at Mosport, 32 cars lined up to take the green flag. Richard Spinard on the pole, Keith Neroff alongside.
There's the green flag, and they're off into corner one, Joe. They're looking really good at this point. Spinard is edging ahead here just a little bit, and I think as they come down through corner one, you see Spinard take the advantage over Neroff. Goodyear tucks into third, followed by Maxwell and Heimrath Sr. They continue on through one. The whole field makes it. They're looking good as they head into corner two.
In turn two, it's Richard by 2 lengths in a train of identical Porsches. Case Neroff, Scott Goodyear, and Scott Maxwell. Maxwell tries to pass Goodyear, and they make a little contact. Followed by Maxwell in the red car. He continues on in 4th place.
Here's the view from Ludwig Emrad Sr.'s car. That's Scott Maxwell just ahead. We're going down number 4 down the chute, approaching corner 5. Ludwig is trying to pass Scott, but Scott is closing the door and can't pass.
That's Heimrath in the white number 7 in 5th spot. Black number 3 is driven by Bill Adam, Claude Bourbonnais next, and Cam Champion in 8th spot. Cresting the hill on the back straight, we've got a duel now for 2nd place. Here they come. Scott Goodyear in the white car trying to pull around Case Neroff. They're side by side into turn 8. At turn 8, there's our leader, Spinard, then Goodyear and Neroff. Neroff holds the inside line and hangs on to 2nd place over Scott Goodyear. Richard, you're building a bit of a lead. Do you have an advantage at this point?
Well, yes, Joe. Especially being in front, you have a clear track, so you can drive the proper line, go quick in every corner, and you don't have to fight anyone in each of the corner, which means that you have the full track to yourself, so you can be more consistent and faster. While behind me, you have Scott Goodyear and Case Neroff. While they're battling for each corner and doing this, they're defending their line, and they're slowing down each other.
After a lap and a half, the order is Spinard, Neroff, Goodyear, Maxwell, Heimrath Sr., and Bill Adam.
At Moss Corner, you can see that there's a group of 3 cars just glued right together. Then a small gap. Another group of 3. The top 7 cars are within 4.5 seconds of each other.
That's my boss, Raymond David, in car number 41. He got a little loose in turn 5.
He's running in 12th position.
I talked about defending the line earlier. Here's a good example. From Case Neroff's car, you can see me in a black car up ahead. I'm not under any pressure, and I'm taking the proper racing line along the straight and into turn 8. Case is trying to hold off Scott Goodyear, so he stays on the right.
And there goes Scott Goodyear muscling in on the inside. He must have had 2 wheels on the dirt for that one. But it worked. Scott Goodyear is in 2nd place to the order after 2 laps. Richard Spinard, Scott Goodyear, Case Neroff, Scott Maxwell, and Ludwig Heimrath Sr.
This situation is very similar, Richard, to what we saw in race 2 at Le Circuit and in race 3 here at Mosport. The leader gets a small jump on the pack, and while they're all scrapping for second, the leader pulls away.
Yeah, you're right, Rob. The big difference is it used to be Scott Goodyear, and this time it's me, so I much prefer this situation here.
Here's Case Neroff's view. He hasn't conceded 2nd place yet to Scott Goodyear. He's still pushing very hard at this point.
As Scott comes down through corner 4, braking now for the first part of 5. He gets in, gets a little sloppy right there, bobbles a bit. Very untypical of Scott in his usual smooth style here, using the curbing as he heads out of corner 5B up through 5C onto the straightaway. Case isn't able to gain an inch on the straightaway. The drivers say that the cars are all identical, especially Ludwig's. Heimrath Sr.'s car seems to be the fastest, and no one can figure out how he does it.
As they crest the hill, Heimrath pulls on to pass Scott Maxwell, but Maxwell holds the inside and keeps his position. The man responsible for keeping the cars equal and enforcing all the rules is Carl Weber.
There's two parts to our scrutineering. Number one, we're concerned with the safety aspect, because we also act on behalf of the CASC. And check number one is before even the competitors get onto the track for practice or time trials, we assure that the car is equipped with the roll cage, the safety harness, seating, brakes, lighting, clothing for the driver, as well as the helmet. After the time trials, we will then take the top 3 and 2 random drivers, and we will scrutinize the cars a little closer. We are naturally concerned with the benefit for the series, that is that we have equal cars, and that only the best driver may win. So, as you probably know, we've sealed the engines on the Porsche 944s, which prevents any competitor from going inside the engine, changing internal engine components. And the second aspect of it is we are very much concerned with the fuel injection system. The Porsche 944 is equipped with a digital motor electronic fuel injection system, which governs not only fuel injection, but also ignition timing. And the entire unit is controlled through a microprocessor that's located inside the car, and we're very concerned with it, and we are testing through an electronic device the timing advance curve, as well as a number of other checkpoints to assure that nobody has tampered with the unit.
Sort of ironic that we're now watching from Ludwig Sr.'s car. He seems to be a regular in that random scrutineering inspection. Have they ever found anything wrong, Rob?
It's just that he's been racing Porsches for so long that he knows tricks nobody else has figured out yet. It's a weird sign of respect, actually, that he is always suspected but never caught. Ludwig is very proud of his reputation as an engine tuner. Any Porsche dealer would be.
Well, his reputation just grew. He just drove around Scott Maxwell and into 4th place. That's Case Nierop just ahead. You're still leading, Richard, but I hate to tell you, Scott Goodyear is catching up. He's less than a second back now.
Well, you're right, Joe. It seems that it looks like it was going to be an easy race for me, but looking at my mirrors, I can see Scott Goodyear catching up to me. So obviously at that point, when you see someone catching up and you're going as fast as you can, there's obviously a problem.
From Bill Adams' car, we've got a good view from the second group of cars. Just in front, we've got Scott Maxwell in a red car trying to repass Ludwig Heimrath. 4 lengths in front of them is Case Nierop. He's all alone in 3rd place. Scott Goodyear has gotten away and has moved up to challenge for the lead.
And recapping our leaders, we have Richard Spinard in front, followed by Scott Goodyear. Case Nierop is in 3rd. Ludwig Heimrath Sr. is in 4th. And Scott Maxwell is now in 5th place overall.
Here's Maxwell, just 23 years old, giving the veteran Ludwig Heimrath fits as they come down through 4, lining him up, looking to make a move on him in corner 5.
There's Nierop in 3rd. He must be slowing down because Heimrath, Maxwell, and Adam have closed up right behind him. I don't think Case is going to be able to hold on to 3rd place.
Case has lost a lot of ground on this particular lap. He could have missed a shift. Perhaps he even has a little bit of problem with his car, even a lapse in concentration. However, he's hanging on at this point. He seems to have gotten back together, holding off Ludwig through here, through corner 8, 9, 10 now as they head on to the front straight. Heimrath, although reportedly having one of the faster cars, didn't take advantage at that time.
I'm still leading this race, but Scott Goodyear has done a terrific job of getting free from the pack and catching me. Seems to be very quick today.
That interval now between 1st and 2nd is down to just half a second.
Here we are approaching corner 3. Corner 3 in Mosport is a 30 corner with a Porsche. Medium speed corner for Mosport. After corner 2, we have corner 4 down the hill, and then corner 5, which is very, very tight, and this is where we go the slowest. This is where we see the distance between both cars, the minimum because of the speed.
Is there a bit of a draft effect there as well, Richard?
Well, definitely corner 5 launch us on the straight line, and this is usually the place where we're getting past or we pass in Mosport.
From Case Nierop's car, you can see Spinard and Goodyear appear to be side by side now. As we come out of turn 8, we have a new leader. Scott Goodyear has taken the lead of this 15-lap race on lap 6. Goodyear missed the first race of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge and only finished 9th in round 2. Since then, however, he has been unstoppable, jumping into the first turn lead and staying in front to the checkered flag at both Le Circuit and at Mosport. 2 weeks ago at Saint-Air, he settled for a 2nd place behind Richard Spinard.
Realistically, the championship is out of Goodyear's reach, but he still wants to beat out Bill Adam and Scott Maxwell for third place in the series. The top 3 finishers will share a ride in the 24 Hours of Le Mans next year.
The standings show the order after 6 laps. Will Richard Spinard be able to repass Scott Goodyear? On lap 8, just past the halfway point of this 50-lap Rothmans Porsche race. The leader is number 9, the white car on your screen, driven by Scott Goodyear. Just behind, in second place, is our championship leader, Richard Spinard. Rob Tanner, let's talk about the overall situation. Mathematically, 7 different drivers still could win the championship with this race and next week's finale still to go.
That's true, Joe, but really only 4 of them have an authentic shot. Spinard, Nierop, Bill Adam, and Goodyear. And the 2 leaders would have to DNF or finish well back for Adam or Goodyear to win.
Richard Spinard has really been moving through the first 5 turns. Richard, you've gained a lot of ground on Scott Goodyear.
Well, I guess I'm convinced that I can beat Scott at this point, and I want to put some good laps together to be able to make up the difference that we have and maybe pass him. Well, here we have a car in the wall in corner 2 at the bottom of the hill. It's Claude Gou, car number 46. The tire wall here saved a lot of damage on his car, but it's probably going to have a lot of trouble to pull out of that mud hole.
On the replay, Gou got wide coming into corner 2, got out on the marbles, got off into the very soft stuff. The grass is just like ice out there. Now he gets into the mud. Tire wall saved a lot of damage to the automobile, but as Richard says, it might be tough getting out of there.
We spent enough time watching the leaders of this race. Claude Gou's fishing trip has allowed Dan Proudfoot in the black car number 20 to move up a position. Dan's tactical race is beginning to pay off.
I am very nervous because I've never been in the car before. Never had a chance to drive it. I just, through the generosity of Paul Tracy and Tony Tracy, I was asked if I'd like to try it, and I said, sure, it'll be great.
But it's not like you're a rookie to motor racing. You've had some experience here at Mosport before.
I have, in a way. In another way, I've never been in a real race, I feel. I am in vintage racing, and at the front, that's really serious stuff, and at the back where I am, it's not so serious. So it's going to be a big change, very different.
It is very serious indeed at the front of this race. Richard Spinard is pressuring Scott Goodyear, trying to force a mistake, looking for a way to get by into the lead. Look at their lines around corner 3 and corner 5. Virtually identical. The leaders head up the Mario Andretti straight, nose to tail.
Here when Ludwig Emrat Sr.'s car going through 5B, we saw Case Nierop here going through 5B, not very smoothly, lost some time there, and probably going to give an advantage to Emrat Sr. to pass him on the back straight. Yeah, actually, Ludwig Emrat Sr., as you see, passed Case Nierop very early in the back straight because of the mistake and probably because of a very good speed on the back straight with Emrat Sr.'s car. He can take advantage and probably approaching corner 8, leading the back straight ahead of Case Nierop.
We've got a 4-car battle for third place. Heirath is leading the train, followed by Case Nierop, Scott Maxwell, and Bill Adam in the black number 3.
Case Nierop's not having a very good lap here. We see him into corner 10. He downshift for some reason. Usually we don't downshift in corner 10, and therefore we saw Ludwig Emrat Sr. pull away from him tremendously in one corner.
There's Claude Gou in the white car number 46. He got going again after his... Oh, look at that! Caused a few people to dive for cover along pit row.
Fans are watching that 4-way fight for third place. Heimrath still leading that group with Nierop, Maxwell, and Adam following as they go through turn 3. Coming up through 5A, you've still got Heimrath out in front of Nierop. Maxwell and Adam pushing each other through the corners. They head up the Mario Andretti straightaway. We'll watch how the slipstreaming works on this lap. Richard, what are these guys doing back here right now?
Well, it started at the exit of 5B. You're always trying to exit 5B with the most precision and nice speed so you can slipstream on the back straight. If you don't exit 5B with good line or good speed, there's no way you can pass. So here we have Bill Adam. It seems that he's losing ground on Scott Maxwell, maybe because of the exit of 5B, just couldn't catch up.
Interesting combination of lines here where the front 2 cars come through on the inside. The back 2 cars seem to take a wider line through here.
Well, that's very true. It seems that Ludwig Emrat Sr. was protecting his line approaching corner 8, while Scott Maxwell wasn't worried too much about Bill Adam, knowing probably the distance they had before approaching corner 8.
Through turn 1, Richard is taking a run at Scott Goodyear. As they go up the hill to turn 2, Spinard moves to the inside. Beautiful pass. Richard Spinard is back in the lead.
You don't often see a pass there. It's a flat-out fourth-gear corner. Very dangerous. You've really got to know who you're racing with before you try a move like that.
That's right. Probably I wouldn't have tried it with other drivers, but knowing Scott Goodyear, knowing how intelligent and smart he is behind the wheel, I knew I could time a pass like this and successfully accomplish it.
Let's check that fight for third place again. We're in Ludwig Heimrath's car. We're leading that four-car train.
Oh, here, if you listen carefully, you can hear very well Ludwig Heimrath Sr. missing gears. He's missing his third gear probably, one, twice, and maybe 3 times. So you see, he got passed by 2 or 3 cars, and it goes to show that a slight mistake, you lose a lot of ground in racing.
On the back straight, Scott Goodyear moves out of the slipstream, tries to pass the Sharks, but are they bumping? Yes! Scott Goodyear is back out in front. 2 lane changes in 1 lap. This, folks, is great racing.
Richard is not giving up by any means here, Joe. He's obviously right on Scott's bumper as they come through 9 and 10, looking for any advantage that he can get. And after that wild lap, we should recap the standings after 12 laps.
Scott Goodyear is leading, Richard is second, Case Neeroff is third, and really too far back to threaten for second place. He has to be more concerned with staying in front of Maxwell and Adam. 3 laps to go. You're watching the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. 3 laps to go in this penultimate round of the 1986 Rothmans Porsche Challenge. I'm Joe Tilley with Rob Tanner and Richard Spinard. This series has been an unqualified success, Rob.
The racing just can't get any closer. Scott Goodyear and Richard are virtually touching as they jockey for advantage. The concept of identical cars using identical fuel and oil and running on the same tires puts all the emphasis on the driver. That's not a new idea, but when you add over $275,000 in prize money, an entry at Le Mans, and national TV coverage of every race, you've created a major racing series that is already causing people to take notice in the United States and Europe.
Bill Adam has seen a lot of the advertising on Scott Maxwell's Porsche for the past 10 laps. I would love to see Scott and Bill both pass Case Neeroff, who is just ahead in the red and white car. That would give me a bigger lead in the championship.
Bill Adam, who calls Hamilton and Miami home, is a full-time professional racer with an excellent reputation as a driver of prototype sports cars in the United States. At the start of the season, a lot of people picked Bill Adam as the man to beat in this series. And he's found the competition to be a lot tougher than he ever would have expected.
To be perfectly honest, to win the series, I'd have to depend on bad luck for Richard Spinard particularly. He's done a very good job this year, not only going quickly, but he's put a very consistent series of excellent finishes behind him, and that makes it just about impossible. So for me to win it, it's unfortunately going to be bad luck for him, and I don't think that'll happen.
Scott Maxwell is the driver of that red car that's been giving Bill Adams such a hard time. He's been very impressive this season. He had a pole position and has always been running in the top 5, mixing it up with experienced pros like Goodyear, Heimrath, Neeroff, Spinard, and Adam. At the age of 23, Scott Maxwell is showing a lot of potential.
Here's a good dice. Ray Coffey in number 57 and Zave Aberman number 36. They're going at it for 12th place. Advantage to Aberman this time around.
Last lap, Scott Goodyear leads Richard Spinard by 2 car lengths with less than 4 kilometers to go. Have you conceded victory at this point, Richard?
Never. Yeah, never conceded victory until the checker flag, but, you know, I have about 3 car lengths of distance behind Scott, so it's not easy. My point is to be very close to him in 5B, to be able to maybe be able to pass him in the straight line, which would be probably my only chance to win the race. As we know, there's only 1 race to go in the championship, and even though if I have to finish second behind Scott Goodyear, it's a defeat to me, but it's also a victory to be ahead of Case Neeroff. So I'm getting a better cushion for the last race, and there's less pressure probably for me.
The battle for 3rd place continues unabated. Bill Adam can get incredibly close, but getting past Scott Maxwell is another story.
Let's check that battle for 12th. Wow, double spin! Iverman and Coffey were perfectly synchronized. I don't even think they touched. Coffey cuts the grass on the inside of turn 5, and Zav Aberman will take 12th place. Raymond David slipped into 13th ahead of Ray Coffey. Back now with our leaders. Turn 8, Scott Goodyear maintains his lead of 2 car lengths over Richard Spenard. Through the S's and into turn 10, the checkered flag is waiting. And Goodyear wins his 3rd race for the Fat Magna International team. Richard takes 2nd and extends his lead in the championship to 7 points over the driver of car number 86, Case Neeroth. Case will collect points for 3rd place. 4th will go to Scott Maxwell, 5th to Bill Adams, 6th to Ludwig Heimrath Sr., 7th to Cam Champion, and 8th to Ludwig Heimrath Jr.
Claude Bourbonnais nearly hits the same fence he visited in race 1, but hangs on and will finish in 9th position. The American, Chris Gleason, will round out the top 10.
Another very impressive victory for Scott Goodyear. How different this championship might have been had he not missed the first race. In the 5 Rothmans races he's entered, Goodyear has won 3 and finished 2nd once.
Well, we missed the first one and had problems in the second one, but we're slowly catching up. I think if we were able to run the first ones, we might be right up there in the front of the championship. I guess we're in 3rd now, and Case or Paul or Richard really have to do a DNF in the next event.
It took a couple of laps for you to get away from the pack and then catch up to Spenard. You were working awfully hard for that, I gather.
Yeah, we've went the wrong way, really. We put some tires on. I think they were probably a little bit hard, a little bit old, and so we put some new Pirellis on, and they really worked well, and we took a few laps for them to get them warmed up, and then it was away we off.
In the point standings, you can see Richard Spenard out in front of Case Neeroth by 7. With just 1 race left, Neeroth is going to have to beat you by at least 2 positions, Richard. Were you happy with today's race?
Well, it's good enough to get more points and, you know, feel more comfortable with the championship. Don't think I had very many chances today to win the championship since there's 1 more race to go. What was important for me was to finish ahead of Kees Neeroth. I would have liked to win, but Scott did a good job, and he was a bit faster than me on a straight line, so I couldn't do much. I could pass him in corner 2. I was quite a bit faster through 1, 2, and 5, 5B, but unfortunately in a straight line he would take the advantage back to the point where I had to settle for 2nd. You did a good race. It was a good race, and we both enjoyed it.
So it's all going to come down to the final race. Will it be Spenard, Neeroth, or the long shot Goodyear? 50 laps around Le Circuit in Quebec will decide the 1986 championship. That's it for race number 6. For my co-host Richard Spenard, I'm Joe Tilley. Join us next week for the final race of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge on CTV's Wide World of Sports. It will all be decided today. The 7th and final race of the world's richest showroom stock racing series, the $275,000 Rothmans Porsche Challenge. Mont Tremblant, Quebec, a world-famous ski resort which has played host to the downhill races of the World Cup circuit. Today, though, the sport is automobile racing. We're at Le Circuit. Good afternoon. I'm Joe Tilley with Rob Tanner. Rob, this is it, the final race.
We may have 24 cars in the grid, but really this race is between 3 men. This is Richard Spenard, Canada's most successful racing driver in 1986. He has won 13 of the 22 races he has entered this year, including 2 victories in the Rothmans Porsche Series.
Case Neeroth, 28 years old, from Kelowna, BC. He trails Spenard by 7 points in the championship. These 2 drivers have battled all season long to reach this point within the hour. One of them should be champion.
Well, I feel nervous, honestly, because being the last race and I want to keep the championship. I'm leading now by 7 points, but Keys is qualified first, I'm 2nd. Scott is very, very close. So my game is to finish in top 3 if Keys is leading. Of course, I'd like to win the race, and winning the championship with a win at the end. But if I feel it's too hairy, I'm going to probably just play it safe. It's usually not the way I drive, but I want to win the championship, and the first thing, you know, I think the most important thing this weekend is to win it.
Before, it was a bit of a caution race, like we want to win, but you also want to be cautious as to you have to finish the race, because you miss 1 race and you're out of the series kind of thing, out of the championship. So this race, I think, has got a very special effect to it that Richard has to run more of a caution race than I have. I have to go out there and win. So it's full pressure for me, and Richard he just has to finish third. I mean, it should be pretty easy for him.
It's going to be very tough. Case and Richard have to fall out, and due to us missing the first race completely and the second race having problems in the series, we don't have the points. But I think third is very possible for us in championship right now, and if God blesses us today, maybe we'll end up with a better placing.
The stage is set. 3 of Canada's top professional racers, each in an identical Porsche 944, each with a shot at the winner's share of the purse. On the pole, Nirop. Beside him on the front row will be Spinard. Third place, Goodyear. Don't go away. The curtain goes up when the green car is off. The order looks good, and we're about to start the deciding race of the 1986 Rothmans Porsche Challenge. There's the green flag. They're off.
Looks like it's about 5 abreast trying to jockey for position. We're heading for corner 1. As they come down here, we're looking at the top 3 or 4 cars going through there. Looks like Nirop has gotten out in front, holding off the lead that he established when he set the fastest qualifying time.
The order through the first turn, Nirop, Maxwell, Spinard, and Goodyear.
Nobody wants to give up. Nirop knows what his job is. He's got to be out there and get out in front and do the job to win this race. Spinard has his job cut out for him. He has to finish within 2 positions of the hard-charging Nirop.
Through 6 and 7, it's Nirop, Maxwell, Goodyear, Spinard, Adam, and Claude Bourbonnais.
Here's a view from Bill Adams' car, currently in 5th place. He's got Richard Spinard right in front of him. Spinard, of course, stalking the leaders here, looking for a way
Here
around.
comes Claude Bourbonnais! He is smashed into Richard Spinard!
Spinard is off the racetrack. This could be the whole championship right up in 1 instant, right here. Cars stream through here. Nobody else seems to be having any problem here. Oh, car off to the left with its hood up.
That is Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais stops. The hood comes down now. Here's a replay of what happened here. As they broke for corner 8, Adam right in line here, and all of a sudden on the right, Bourbonnais comes through, clips the tail end of Spinard's car, spinning both of them off the racetrack, and could be spinning Spinard's hope for the championship with them.
Right now, Richard Spinard is in 12th place. He has to finish no worse than 2 positions behind Case Nirop. At this point, he's got a lot of ground to make up. Coming out of Namaro, Nirop, Maxwell, Goodyear, Adam, Richard Spinard is way back in 12th spot.
They come down to finish lap 1. Nirop is showing the superiority he's shown all weekend here with his hard qualifying position. Here's Goodyear trying to get inside, and does. Maxwell to take over 2nd place. The young Maxwell has been doing a great job all year long, hanging on to the veterans that he's racing against. Here's the view from Adams' car again as they come down into the back part of the course. He's got Maxwell in front of him with Goodyear right in front of him, and Nirop disappearing into the distance on him. So we know that Spinard is behind somewhere, and he's got to be feeling very desperate at this point, Joe.
There's a lot of ground to make up, as I said earlier. He's in 12th spot. Case Nirop appears to be widening his lead, so in order for Spinard to be the overall champion, he would have to tuck into 3rd position, and at this point, it doesn't look good at all, Rob.
He's got a lot of track to make up at this point, and he's got a lot of very good drivers to get by.
Let's go to turn 8 and check the order.
Here's Nirop, the leader, followed by Goodyear, Maxwell, Adam, Heimrath, Champion, Raymond David, Brian Malcolm, Claude Gou.
And there's Richard Spinard. He's moved up to the 10th. He's already gained 2 positions in 1 lap.
He's obviously driving very hard, Joe. He's sliding the car wherever he can. He is driving now in the race of his life. He must get by another 6 cars before this becomes his championship.
At this point, he has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Right on. Nirop just opening up his lead here. Just a very dominant drive to this point. But obviously all eyes are on Spinard. He's had that bad luck on the very first lap, and now he's got the whole world after him here to get by and see if he can't be a 3-time champion in this whole Canadian racing scene this year.
Right now he's looking at Claude Gou. And as he tries to move on the inside, he touches Gou. Gou spins over. Richard manages to hang on to the track. He has to be going all out at this point, trying to get into 3rd place. He knows that Nirop is way up there, and he has to catch him.
Now, I think that was maybe a little mistake on Richard's part. He's going to have to slow down, and not necessarily slow down, but he's going to have to take that red flag out of his face here like a charging bull and start to react and drive more smoothly to make up that time. These cars are so even that it takes just a superb or a perfect lap to make up any time on these drivers. And Richard is just going to have to calm down a little bit from his accident and really start to get at it. The drivers behind him, as you see, are not giving him any help here. That's Richard's teammate, Raymond David, trying to help out perhaps, but getting sideways and even holding Richard up more. Just not his day at this point, Joe.
He's trying to get by Brian Malcolm right now, and he looks like he's going to pass Brian Malcolm. And he also gets by Raymond David. He has moved up 2 more positions.
Moves him up into 8th now, Joe, and got a little bit of a clear track ahead of him so he can concentrate on being very smooth. We've heard Richard talk about the necessity of being smooth all through the previous 6 races. Now it's time for him to practice that and really go after the guys out in front.
Meanwhile, Case Neeroff is also driving like a man possessed. He is turning the fastest laps at this point, and he is widening his lead. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to catch him at this point. Let's look at the order after 3 laps. Case Neeroff is doing his part. He's winning the race. The rest is up to Richard Spinard. He's up to 7th and is absolutely flying. Can he make it up to 3rd place? Stay with us. We'll find out. Welcome back to Le Circuit in the final race of the Rothmans Porsche Challenge. After 4 laps, our leader is Case Neeroff, followed by Scott Goodyear, Scott Maxwell, Bill Adam in 4th, Ludwig Heimrath Sr. in 5th, followed by Cam Champion and Richard Spinard.
Spinard's next challenge is to get by Cam Champion in the black car number 4. Cam Champion has been around for many years and is not making it any easier for Richard to get by. These equal cars make it very difficult, and it has to be just a perfect setup. Richard now is starting to pressure Champion, perhaps, and using all the road to do it too, and maybe even losing himself some time. He has to slow down, Joe, and be really smooth to make this work.
Little over-aggressive.
You might say that, but aggressive is Richard's middle name in some respects here. We've seen him drive that way all year round. As they come through Namuro now at the end of the 6th lap, he's still got some ground to make up on Champion. Crew Chief Alec Purdy is keeping track of how the progress of his lad is going here and hoping that it looks better on the next lap.
Right now, he can't be very happy with Richard Spinard's placing. There goes Richard Spinard past Cam Champion into 6th place.
Okay, that's 1 down, Joe. Next adversary on the racetrack is Ludwig Heimrath Sr. We've watched all year how quick Ludwig can be in a straight line and sometimes drive a very wide car in the corners. Richard certainly has his work cut out for him for the next few minutes here on the racetrack.
And I don't suspect Ludwig is going to try to make things easy for Richard either.
Oh, the wily veteran's full of tricks. He can make his car go quicker than anybody at certain times, and at other times he can make it wider than anybody else. As we said, no race driver likes to come second, and Ludwig's been around a long time and won a lot of races. So it's going to be tough for Richard to get by him.
Richard Spinard has moved up 6 places in 5 laps. He's got 9 laps left to move into 3rd spot overall to catch that championship.
Joey's now facing the top drivers in the series. They've proven that all year long. Case Neeroff is going to be tough here as he comes through Namuro again, but he's got to get by 5 more people to get to Case. Every pass becomes more difficult because the driver's skill is getting more equal. Neeroff's crew looks very concerned, but they could just pull this thing off. Taking a look at Heimrath's eyes in his mirror, he's obviously got it full of a black number 42, Richard Spinard, trying desperately to hold on here to his 5th place. The 4th place car is even out of sight almost as they come down through the paddock bend and head down the front straightaway into corner 1. Heimrath, the old veteran here, doing a good job to keep Spinard behind him, but that's not what Richard is thinking at this point. Richard obviously is just trying everything he can to find a way past Ludwig.
And here comes Richard Spinard and past Ludwig Heimrath. Next in line, Bill Adam.
That puts him up another place. As we said, that took him a lot longer to get by 1 car than it did to take him to get by 4 or 5 cars earlier in the race. Each car becomes more difficult. He's now got a fair amount of track space free in front of him so that he can concentrate on driving smoothly, going as quickly as he possibly can. We're watching him use the whole road here and then a little bit more as he keeps dropping wheels off into the dust, kicking up the sparks off his exhaust system, just using every inch of the road that he possibly can, and then a little bit more. Sort of his off-road Pirelli P700s are working well in certain instances here, Joe.
Right now, Richard Spinard is in 5th. He has to move into 3rd with Case Neeroff way out in front to grab that championship.
It's a tough job for Richard at this point. Nirop is just going very strongly. He's got 2 or 3 other guys behind him sort of defending his position for him almost at this point. Spinard is just working his tail off trying to get up towards the next car, Bill Adam, as we can see Richard pulling away a little bit here in the, from the camera of Ludwig Heimrath. Through Namero, Richard kicking up a little dust, using all that road that we talked about, using his car to the utmost to extract every little bit of speed out of the car so he can close that gap a little bit more on Adam.
Number 70 is a car we haven't seen before, but you might recognize the name of the driver. He's Murray Edwards, a veteran Trans Am racer from New Brunswick. Over the years, Murray has won a lot of races, but in this highly competitive series, his best finish has been a 19th last weekend in Mosport. Murray loves to race.